Hey, what up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you. I've been sort of honestly putting off my WrestleMania 30 diary, talking about all the shows and just how much fun we had, just because basically how much time the shows would eat up. So I thought basically today I would sit down on my lunch and I would make videos about all the shows that I went to, started giving my reviews, even though they're honestly a little bit late. A lot of people were asking me what I thought about certain things. So I thought maybe if I just sat down on my lunch and knocked these out, maybe when I sat down to make the WrestleMania 30, what do I call it, behind YouTube, something like that. YouTube's True Stories. Maybe that's what they were. And this year's going to be a different one. I'm going to have to really sit down and really think about if I want to name names behind the stories or just put sort of question marks up about basically the things that happened. The first event that we went to the whole weekend, honestly, was the Jim Ross show. Nothing really much to talk about there. If Jim Ross comes to your town, if you want to meet JR, go to the show. If not, to me, honestly, I know he has only done a few shows. Maybe he's just sort of getting his boots underneath him. Maybe it'll get better, but honestly, it wasn't the best show to go to. But you know, we only paid I think $30 to get into the show. We got to meet Jim at the end of the night, so $30 to meet Jim Ross. It could have been worse. First real show of the week that we went to was the WWE Hall of Fame. Honestly, I really love going to the Hall of Fame. It's always a real treat to be there. You know, the wrestlers. It's really debated if WWE is really a real Hall of Fame. There's rumors that the WWE is going to build a real structured Hall of Fame that you can pay to get into down there in Orlando. They're going to be setting up base down there. They'll always be set out of Stamford up there in Connecticut, but they've got the training center down there, and if they can run some way of getting people in there to pay like for a tour, I'm sure that can generate some funds that way. They'll always run the shows at the with NXT, but I think that most of that's free. But they'll find a way to start making some money down there and having a true building Hall of Fame where fans can go to year round. It's gonna be a struggle to see. They'd have a Wrestlemania down there. They could pump a whole bunch of fans in there, but what is it really going to be like year round? That's going to have to be debated if they can really make money on it or if it's something they're going to lose on. It'd be something that's going to be cool to see once in a lifetime. I'm sure a lot of people will make sure if they go to an Orlando vacation, they'll make sure they see it once. But, is it really something that you need to see again and again? The Hall of Fame, though, going to it, even if your favorite wrestlers aren't really going into it, is honestly a real treat. It's honestly sort of like a real special occasion to get into. The emails that they send out to, saying no cat calls, I really understand that. I mean, there's a time to cheer and show your appreciation for the wrestlers, but a lot of this year, the fans that were there, honestly, just made you sort of cringe that you were there. The biggest thing that happened was during the Lita induction. There was a time when the screen that was behind Lita, they would have the big logo up there. That was mainly just for the people at home that were watching, just so you wouldn't have a Lita there, and you'd have a Lita there, you'd have a real backdrop that said, WWE Hall of Fame 2014. But whenever they would show the cameras into the crowd, they would show like Rey Mysterio when they were talking about Rey. Down there in Mexico, they showed Arn Anderson when they drank a beer together. That screen would change, and it would show you the view of what the wrestlers were seeing down there on the floor. And the people that were sitting up in the 300 sections, which really was the 200 sections, however you want to look at it, at the Smoothie King Arena didn't have a 200 section for some reason. That tripped a lot of people out, and it was a little weird. But, they wanted a better view, and they would boo. Lita was holding up the mask that she stole from Rey Mysterio. And, she brought the beers out for Arn Anderson to drink. And the fans were like, well, if you can show it then, why can't you show it the whole time? It was just so you can have a better view of Lita, what was going down on there. Because from sitting up in the top, she looked like a little midget down there. You could tell it was her. You knew it was her because they came out there and they said it. But, it just sucked to be her. Because I'm sure that people were booing her. And she didn't know why people were booing her, and they were actually booing the production people, so it didn't honestly make a whole lot of sense. Trish Stratus gave a real good speech to put her in there. Her speech sort of, to me, honestly, was a little bit long. Seemed like it was all over the board, like she didn't really, like she wrote down bullet points of things that she wanted to say, but she didn't write down an order of how things were going, and she was skipping around a lot, so that really didn't make a whole lot of sense. From other people that went in there, Mr. T honestly was the comedy hour. I don't know why you had like El Torito and Hornswoggle come out there before then. That really made no sense to me. And the whole Bad News Barrett thing was something that didn't make sense. But maybe it was just for the people that were watching on TV. Would either have a gap to get up and go to the bathroom and come back, or I don't really know. It didn't really make much sense. Mr. T's speech, honestly, to me, I understand why they cut him off. It's always going to be a remembered moment that people are going to go there. If he has hurt feelings about it, that's just too bad. People really didn't pay to come to see him. People came to see Jake the Snake Roberts. They came to see Razor Ramon, Scott Hall. They came to see the Ultimate Warrior. Mr. T was just supposed to be that funny minute in there. Nobody has handled the WWE Hall of Fame as a celebrity better than Drew Carey. He came up there, said thank you very much, let everybody boo at him, wave at everybody, and say goodbye. Carlos Colon going into the Hall of Fame was not really that much of a big deal. Speech of the night, honestly, to me, goes to Kane talking about Paul Bearer. Undertaker coming out there, giving him the final salute. That was a really, really cool moment. I'm sure that a lot of people are going to have like those pictures for 8x10s to remember the Undertaker for a long time, holding the urn up, paying his respects and saying thank you to his longtime manager, Paul Bearer. Really, really good. Jake the Snake Roberts, his speech was really the most emotional of the night for me when he was talking about, giving back to his family and his grandkids that were there, and, just telling Vince to get, the spot ready for WrestleMania 50, that his grandson was going to be there and he's going to be ready, and that, he had health issues, but, they were going to pull through and they were going to be able to make it. The Warrior speech, to me, honestly, at the end of the night, I'm not going to be able to dodge this. I'm sure that I'm going to get, crap thrown at me for the rest of my life from Miguel, his favorite wrestler of all time, and here I am, falling asleep during his speech. But honestly, to me, Saturday just was a long, drawn-out day. I don't know what time we went to sleep the night before, if it was 3, maybe if it was 4, but my alarm went off at 5:45, and I was in a cab at 6 o'clock the next morning, and I was off and ready to start my day, going to 3 different access sessions, and then making myself my way to the Hall of Fame. But honestly, to me, it was clear that Warrior wanted to clear his name. I know that people are going to be playing his speech for years and years to come, breaking it down. People are already trying to say, like, did he know that he was going to pass away? Did he have some lifelong illness that basically he knew it was going to catch up with him, and that's why he wanted to make amends with Vince McMahon, go into the WWE Hall of Fame, have that crown put on his thing? I honestly don't think it. I think that, from everything that I've seen, everything that I've read, the guy just had a heart attack. They wasn't able to make him back to the hospital in time. If it would have happened at Raw, if it would have happened at the Hall of Fame, if it would have happened at WrestleMania, I'm sure the same thing that would have happened with Jerry Lawler. They would have had somebody there to take care of him, and I'm sure they would have saved his life. But it just, it sucks, and I'm sure that's the one thing that's going to hang over everybody's head when they think about WrestleMania 30. Everyone, when we left, everybody had a fun trip. Everybody, said that they wish that, WWE would go back to New Orleans for WrestleMania. And I really didn't have any gripes. But I think that when everybody thinks about this trip, Warrior passing away, even if it was the day after we came back, it's just going to be one of those memories. We saw the guy Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And, wow, I just couldn't believe it. The one guy that was going into the Hall of Fame did it probably in the coolest way. Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, always a big fan of his, from the WWE, from WCW, from his comeback. We've always all rooted for this guy to really get it together. I mean, he really started falling apart in 99 and 2000, and here we are 15 years later. A lot of people, I bet, were thinking he wouldn't even live this long, but he got to have that big click reunion with all his buddies. He'd been putting off going to WrestleMania, going to the Hall of Fame for a few years. Not going into the Hall of Fame, but going there to see Shawn at 27 weekend, or was that 28 week? 27, because he retired at 26. He said he didn't want to be there because he didn't want to be in that sort of situation where his friends were all out drinking and he was, at the hotel. It probably put him in a distressed state. But DEP was able to get him up, get him, put back together. Hopefully he can stay on that path. And maybe, I'm supposed to meet him next month in the Bay Area at WrestleFest. It's going to be an awesome day. And, we didn't see him talk about the NWO. We didn't see him talk about the NWA. He just said he told Kevin Nash to come out there, keep it short and sweet, And that's just the way it is. I mean, even look at his tweets on Raw when he knew he was going to be announced for the Hall of Fame. He said save the best for last. He didn't have any hard feelings about being that last guy named. I'm sure he wouldn't have cared if he was the guy who opened the show or if he was the guy that closed it. He knew that he was going to have the one thing that everybody remembered. A lot of people say that when the guys go up there for the Hall of Fame speeches, if they talk too long, he talked for a couple minutes, he said his thank yous, and that's it. I mean, that was an awesome show. As always, I mean, if you're going to WrestleMania next year, I don't care if it's The Rock, if it's Undertaker, if it's whoever else it could be, going into the Hall of Fame. Make sure you're going to be there. If The Rock's going to be the guy, that's going to be batshit crazy. Buy the package just to save the gamble, knowing you're going to get a WrestleMania ticket. That's my advice to you guys, because that is going to be the hardest ticket to get secondhand anywhere, because everyone's going to want to say they were there. That's the way I bought my tickets this year. I said I just want to be in the building. I don't care where. And it always worked out. We had good seats. So that was my Hall of Fame experience, and we'll move on to WrestleMania 30.